Chat, here we go. It is the Road to 100,000 Subscriber Invitational. If you are tuning in now for the first time, it's time to consider hitting that subscribe button and getting us one step closer to 100,000. But what is this tournament? Well, it's an invitational. We're on to the North American side. 4 players playing in the tournament. And as many people have pointed out for North America, it is the Gen G show plus Diaz. Chronic, Firstkiller, apparently Jack, and Diaz all playing in a 1v1 tournament, vying for $1,500. It's going to be a pool play that will seed a gauntlet where all the prize money will be earned. And there's going to be a chance for an invited player who makes it through a closed qualifier to... But I say invited because the people in the qualifier were invited. It's not just completely open. But if they do make it through, they could steal all the prize. Firstkiller on the board, and Chronic as well, as we will start this series equal. I think one of the reasons why so many people thought Vulcan was Firstkiller probably had a little bit to do with the Octane. Firstkiller playing a lot more Octane than apparently Jack ever does. And right now playing in the Octane against Chronic. Chronic, I think, has had a somewhat famous back and forth with the Fennec as well. As he's going to take a nice carry to never let this one hit the ground on his way to taking the lead. Yo, LT Battle Nips, or Lieutenant Battle Nips. Thank you for the brand new Tier 1. I appreciate you. Those Tier 1s helping us get towards Partner Plus, allowing Twitch, oh my goodness, to give us a bigger percentage of the subscriptions. Trying to take money out of Jeff Bezos' pocket, and Chronic is trying to take this series off Firstkiller as he's going to launch his flick for a 3-1 lead. Gunja, thank you for the brand new Tier 1. Chronic running it up, 4-1. It's not often on the channel, I've talked about this before, that players will play consecutive matches even if they were not to win the first one. We do many, like, King of the Hill almost accidental streams where someone wins a match and wants to just go again. So I sometimes worry about players forced to continue to play. But so far, I've had absolutely no worries. I think the player who is playing off of a loss has almost a much better record than they do just playing in their first game. So Firstkiller, despite the tough series end with Diaz, maybe ready to bounce back here against Chronic, even despite the initial start for Chronic. One thing that I think we can be sure of is another aerial-based game between these two. Chronic not one to play his 1v1 on the ground too much. And Firstkiller, he kind of does it in a way that is very unique to him. Chronic, one of the pioneers of the North American attack that was used for so long. The wall-to-air dribble before people were really defending him at a high level. Chronic was out there showing just how effective they can be. We'll see how he does against Firstkiller. Firstkiller, though, you know, not just winning kickoffs and taking them to the side wall for those slow standard dribbles or the reset early and then hold the ball as late as you can to the net, kind of doing that dual threat. I mean, that's the way that most players will play, and certainly Chronic will. Chronic is one of the kings of that aerial attack. That's not what Firstkiller's been doing. Firstkiller has been playing in the air, but he's doing it in his absolute own way. Just ripping the ball into the ceiling, down into his car for resets, and trying to pop the ball with backflip resets off those setups. I mean, it's just not how anyone else is doing it. It's been decently effective for Firstkiller. Right now, though, he's going to find himself down 3 against his teammate. Who, in your opinion, is the best ones player of all time? The highest peak. I think Rawas, around the time he beat Zen and then went undefeated in Gamers 8, may have been peak 1v1 in terms of best. Usually when people say best, they're talking about like highest level regardless of timeline. So like, sure, maybe Khaled dominated in the past, but that version of Khaled against the newest version of Rawas, I mean, players are getting better. So the newer versions are always going to be the best, if you ask me. As opposed to like the greatest of all time is fairly widely agreed upon to be the Fairy Peak Dominance. Zen's run was epic, but even if you're going to try and pick Zen for his run, I mean, the run ended with Rawas. Although he did only do that within a single game. If you put Rawas in the same matches, does he win all of them as well? Probably, but it's hard to know. Firstkiller not out of this game. With 38 seconds, he's going to need 2 to bring it back. And this kickoff might help him into the first. Interesting double jump. Going to use some dashes to get himself back involved in the play, but Kronic's going to go the length of the field. Didn't finish it. The reset like he maybe needed to. Now Firstkiller has to score on this dribble, and the ball was never really completely caught. It was always falling off the front, forcing his hand. Little zap dash to shots is denied, but it forces Chronic into net. Follow-up is a fake, and now Firstkiller has a chance. 6 seconds. Chronic had 1 save, but he fell for the fake. And now, will it be any mix-up from Chronic to try and guarantee the game? He did go slight delay maybe on his wave dash kickoff, but Firstkiller, can he keep this up in the air? No. Chronic will hit it to the ground on the other side of the field. It'll be a 1-goal game, but it'll go to Chronic in this best of 5. Game number 2. Chronic gonna backflip this to ceiling heights where Firstkiller was there to meet it. Always gonna be hard to control the ball when you try and steal it away at that level. Firstkiller now backing up into the net, waiting in net to make his save, and he will not be able to get to the top left. Yo, Lieutenant Battle Nips. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. W's in the chat for the Lieutenant, or maybe give him a salute. Thank you for supporting the stream. Shout out anybody who is enjoying the matches, whether you're dropping subs or not. Chronic gonna put a second one on the board. Firstkiller off the side wall, using the flip to pop it away, and went for the high double. Firstkiller reading the defense. Knew that if he tried to take it to the net, Chronic was going to be there, so instead he goes out over the top. Chronic had no boost. He's trying to dash. Got his wheels caught up there a little bit. And in that moment, Firstkiller will double it in. You make awesome content. I'm happy to help. Yo, thank you. W first time chat. I've said it before, but if every first-time chatter, you know, subscribed to the channel, then dropped 5 subs, then said their first-time chat, the world would be a perfect place, at least for me. Thank you, Lieutenant Battle Nips. Firstkiller, double resets as he brings the ball up to ceiling height and a smooth catch on the dash. And this is what I'm talking about with Firstkiller. And it might not be the conventional way everyone else is attacking through the air. But man, what a smooth catch and reposition to the other side of the ball to be able to flick that top left. Nice demo dodge. And then a 50 win. And the reward is a goal. More proof of why you'll hear Firstkiller when players are asked, or at least fans are asked, who's the most mechanical. Just being able to control your car, whether that means dodging defenders and just creating opportunities to score in places other people would not. Also, apparently doubling into the ceiling and into your car to try and reset clear it. Also evidence of mechanics, but this time it doesn't work, so it doesn't really play to my point as well as I'd like it to. Oh, nice bump. That will slow roll its way in and be one of the lower KPH goals you'll see here tonight. 19 kilometers per hour. Chronic, ooh, did not get the boost grab. That is going to be a big mistake. Almost as bad as own goaling. I mean, it's tough because he was already in a big trouble. Missing the boost is really bad. It's basically an own goal on its own, but you could also just actually own goal it, and that's not so good either. Jawasaki, they give her the 12 months of Prime, the full year of Prime until full time. Chronic just turtled after he owned gold. Firstkiller sees Chronic up at the ceiling, so doesn't seem to want to use any boost or any flip in order to play it into him, just saving it all for the eventual potential recovery. Chronic needs to get a backflip shot. And the half flip does get denied on the goal line. Yo, Seizu. They give it a 2-month Prime. Getting us 1 Prime closer to full-time streaming. Firstkiller out ahead of Chronic, but he's actually able to recover with the last bit of boost he has and make the save. Another save as well. Firstkiller needs to get a bit of height on that shot. Still not the end of the world, but it felt like Chronic maybe had a chance to escape. Firstkiller shows, I've got it under control. I'm still going to be able to play keep away on this guy who's playing off pads. Firstkiller, another reset pop off the first touch. Getting up and rolling around the ball to flick top right is all quite impressive, but when it doesn't go in, it's all for naught. You wish they kept track of own goals? Own goals would be a pretty tough... You could probably do it, I guess. Anytime a shot... I mean, I'm thinking of all the times you're going to be the last one to touch the ball as it goes in, even though it's not an own goal. But I'm sure there's a way to only count the touches where the ball is not headed into the net, and then you are the last one to touch it as you guide it into the net. I would assume that's how shots work to an extent. Firstkiller. Interesting save attempt from Chronic on 0 boost. Actually going to work out. He canceled his front flip. Firstkiller just going to catch him. And he wants to go next. he just called next. I mean, you can't call next. I don't know if he was joking or not, but we're going to go next. I can't... I can't let next calls be fake. He wants to go next. Next is next. Game 2. Chronic got undercut and he had enough. He was ready to go next. A slight bit of me was like, is he joking? But there's just no world in which we can allow someone to joke about forfeiting. That would be way too advantageous. Try and drop jokes about forfeiting. So you say the word next, it's over. I think he did want to forfeit, but it certainly could have been recovered from. Chronic historically has been one to forfeit a tad early anyways. Firstkiller gonna have to find a way to bring this back to the net. It never seems to be an issue though. In fact, he got it to the net too soon, too high in the air. So to be a Chronic goal. Chronic wave dash kickoff. Denied. Chat's talking about the odds. The odds ended up 65% in favor of Chronic. Back into specifically feeling like that was a disservice to Firstkiller. Their history would suggest a Firstkiller victory. I don't know if Chronic is even necessarily close to bringing back the head-to-head between them two over all of history, because I think Chronic probably lost like 7 straight before he ever got a win. He eventually did, though, and I would say in the past 2 or 3 matches between them two, though, I wouldn't be surprised if it's equal or even Chronic favored. So I think Chronic could be on the rise when it comes to playing against Firstkiller. Does that mean he's a straight up favorite now? Could be, probably not to the level that chat voted it. W first time chatter, by the way, just comma. That's what I'm talking about. Reset wave dash, bottom left from Chronic. This is what I'm talking about. I mentioned it earlier. Chronic, the wall to air dribble extraordinaire off the kickoff. He will score if given that opportunity. He's trying to win those kickoffs to the side wall. Because of how effective he is there. Now Firstkiller show an example of how he just does it a little bit differently. Setting that one up to the ceiling and almost out ahead of the ball. Chronic, can he find a way to score this one? What placement? Oh, the double was almost there, but he will get the follow-up, the perfect bounce. Firstkiller was around at that point. He's able to get back down and make a jump, but because it didn't go directly in, instead, a post and in, it will end up being a goal. Chronic, that could be a bounce. That should be a goal. Not far off being a decent enough clear, but just hits the diagonal portion of the wall. Chronic tried to slow roll that one in. Firstkiller was able to cover it. 5-1 now for Chronic. Bouncing back here after the game 2 loss. And it's the wall to air dribble connoisseur. This time, a tough angle to try and score it from so deep in the blue half. I want a little ground to air as well for Chronic. Even though it doesn't score, it's now got him back to his favorite position. And he will go again. I don't think he had a reset on that catch. Goal line 50 goes Firstkiller's way. And he's probably going to try and rush this. Yeah, he's going to go ceiling pinch. Definitely a risky attempt, or, you know, all-in type attempt from Firstkiller. But Chronic wasn't going to be able to get back if he had put that pinch on target. And he actually quickly dove again and still ends up getting his goal. Chronic. Quick flick off the kickoff. Firstkiller actually seemed like he was around. He's watching this replay as well. I wonder if he felt like he should have gotten that save. I think he was hoping that backflip would tip it up to the backboard. Firstkiller. Double resets. Maybe make it a third. And ultimately, he kept possession, which at some point is a win when it looks like the attack is not going to work. It's a ceiling pinch this time. It's not going to be able to get return ball. Oh, no, it's off target. Chronic was not going to be able to stop it. It's crossbar and out. A bummer for Firstkiller, as he has tried to set up that ceiling pinch a couple times now, and it seemed like he had it. He had a bunch of space to kind of take his time with it, and he certainly pinched it directly on target as far as left and right of the net, but too strong. The bounce popped up and over. So a 4-goal lead. Firstkiller just gave the net, so it's going to be a 5-goal lead when you take that much of a trip for boost. Big kickoff for Firstkiller. A very low effort fake, in the sense that he just wave dashed immediately. Shouldn't really be tricking him. That is probably a next. Yeah, we won't even... Almost could have just called it for him, but clearly just tapping it towards his net, down 5. Chronic will take a 2-1 lead and is on match point. Game 4. Delay kickoff. What a powerful touch off of a slow rolling ball. But Chronic does recover to save it and gets a demo. So he's got time in the world to set up his wall to air dribble, but he really took too much. He had a lot of time, but he was real lackadaisical about it. And then he tried to make up for it by pinching in order to catch Firstkiller diving. What a shot, but guided to the back wall by Chronic. And it's a boom fest here, as these two guys just seem like they've agreed to hit the ball as hard as they can every time they get to it and see if they can find a way to score. Firstkiller passing to himself off the ceiling at this point. That almost seems to be his default attack. Pogo from Firstkiller on the landing. I'm sure that was completely intentional. Firstkiller, who has used that pre-flip flick a few times now, almost looking like he was faking it. Going for the full barrel roll behind the ball, but he's trying to create chaos, it seems, as he controls it at top speed around the field. But you have to be able to never lose control to get away with that. Oh, there's the pogo. There's a very intentional pogo that time around. Did not go according to plan. So he'll reset in the back corner. Chronic won't be able to get the boost steal. So again, it's another Firstkiller possession. Right now, Chronic hasn't really been able to dispossess him. Firstkiller hasn't been able to get a quality chance. He should have one off of this demo. And when you're Firstkiller, this is no problem at all. Just tap it towards the net and rely on your car control to get yourself back to finish it off. Firstkiller, multiple resets as he tries to carry this out over the top of Chronic, but doesn't succeed. The first reset was solid. It was a great way to get over the top of Chronic, who's going to be creeping and shadowing right around the position where Firstkiller will have to land after he takes it off the back wall. Use a reset and hit it over the top. Means you could maybe play it out ahead of them, but he greeted out another reset that ended up not working out. Firstkiller, ground pinch in what has been a very low-scoring game. Follows the ball to the ceiling and back down to the ground. Can he get an angle here? He's going to tap to the back wall, looking for a double. Chronic breaks it up and gets the boost steal. Firstkiller clearly trying to roll to take it there. Now Chronic, yes, denied. I was going to say, that's smart from Firstkiller, knowing what Chronic can do. I was going to say he's going to get to his favorite spot, but Firstkiller denying him his favorite spot. Says instead, you have to play the dribble off the ground, but Chronic shows he can do it as well. Firstkiller got the initial save, but Chronic flipping through to finish. That ball was pinched into the corner and on its way out. Chronic, no kickoff goal. 3-1 with 1:33. Firstkiller to the back wall. Another reset. A pre-flip. It's mechanical. But there's no goal as a result of it. This, though, should be a goal. Didn't get the angle on the counterattack. He needed to get underneath the ball. And that's what he tried to do, but just short of the nets. And in a low-scoring game, it can feel deadly. 4-1, fake kickoff for Firstkiller. Every possession's so important. Firstkiller. That one is too high. Wait a second! What is this shot? I don't think he gets back to it unless he plays it off of Chronic. Firstkiller pops the ball, gets the reset, and jumps off it. I don't think he jumped. I think he just bounced off of Chronic. But if he had jumped off it, that is absurd. Firstkiller continues to have the best 7 goals scored today. But right now, it's in a losing effort. He needs 2 more, 50 seconds. Denying Chronic's clear. Catch out to the ball, and actually, the reset was his downfall. Chronic predicting that Firstkiller was going to be good enough to not only carry that out of the awkward position, but turn it into a reset shot as well. It was all in. Chronic on very little boost, coming off the sidewall and floating at that reset height is just a gamble that paid off. Firstkiller, to be fair, has, by all indications, seemed to be trying to get the nuttiest shot possible and not often going for fakes. This double will keep him in this game with 28 seconds left to go. Wave dash kickoff. Firstkiller on the ball, trying to bring it into his corner, and Chronic does miss on that first attempt. And now Firstkiller, what a great first touch. Has a reset, and it took him a ton to be able to flick it back on target. But the aerial was set up so far away that it was never going to stand a chance. And the stream is gone because Twitch hates me. But hopefully they'll be back soon. Fake kickoff for Firstkiller. I think it's over. The stream did not get to see it happen. But Chronic will win. 3-1. Firstkiller kept it up for a moment. It'll hit the ground. GG's. Chronic taking Firstkiller down 3-1. And 1-0 so far in the road to 100,000 subscriber invitational.